We're going to talk about the difference between Wisycom and Sennheiser today. This is a Wisycom MTP61 and this is a Senheisser G4 AW+. They cost quite a bit different. This is around $2,000. This is around $300. So what is the difference and why do pros choose this over this or this over this? We're going to talk about it today. I have been a long-time Sennheiser user. I've used Sennheiser wireless for probably 15 years. And I've been using Wisycom for about 6 months, okay? Why in the world would I get rid of this stuff in favor of Wisycom? Well, I'm going to tell you about it, and I'm going to tell you about the main differences between the systems. So the Wisycom receiver that we're going to be talking about today is the Wisycom MCR54, okay? This rides in the bag just on the top, okay? So this receiver is different than this receiver in lots of ways, okay? So we're starting with receivers. This receives 4 channels simultaneously. This receives 1 channel simultaneously. Difference number 1. This is powered on the bottom. You can see that there is a power adapter to use the BDS, the battery distribution system, in the bag to power this. This has AA batteries in it. Okay? That's another difference. Another difference is this is true diversity. This is not. True diversity means that these 2 antennas on the top are working together to pick up the signal. This one has 1 antenna on the top to pick up the signal. Okay? So you're going to get a stronger reception off of this. Okay? Next thing about the antennas is on the MCR54, the antennas are removable. Okay? Why are they removable? Well, they're removable for 2 reasons. One reason is that you need different antennas to receive different frequency ranges with this system. So I have another set of antennas in here, for example. So these are shorter, okay? So on this system, this has a considerably higher listening range, and you need to change the antennas depending on which range you're using to receive, okay? So the lower ranges require taller antennas, the higher ranges require shorter antennas. So that makes this more flexible in the sense that I can go all the way up to the 900s with this thing, and I can only go up, I believe, to the 558 on this, okay? So we're still talking about differences, okay? This has a top-down display, which means that when it's in a bag and I'm looking down on it, I can make changes more easily. It's top-down. This is not top-down, this is front. So when this is in a bag, I can't see what the screen needs. I can't see the screen, so I have to pick it up and look at it to manage it, okay? Another difference. We're not even talking about the range differences because I'm going to do another video testing the range on these, but this has considerably longer range, I can tell you that. At this point, I'm not going to sit here and say how much longer because I'm going to do a video where we test that, but considerably longer range than this. I have experienced that in my own work, so I can get very far away from the subjects with this. Much farther than this, okay? The main similarity between these 2 devices is that they both receive UHF signals. So this is not in the 2.4 gigahertz or the other Wi-Fi ranges that some of the other units use, like the DJIs and the Rode Go's. These are both in UHF. They are both tunable, so you can tune this to different frequencies just like you can this. They both do scanning, so you can scan the available frequencies and then program the unit. This also does that. They both have squelch so that you can change the amount of suppression that is being used. That's what squelch is. It's kind of like a wireless noise suppression. That's how I think of it in my brain. Maybe some engineers out there can correct me, but that's what I'm understanding what squelch is. You can adjust that. So why would you choose this? We're going to focus on MCR54 for a second here. I really like this for a lot of reasons that I've already stated. The antennas that you can swap out, you can also hook this into external antennas like Betsos and put them on a big stand, and you can get considerably longer range. You cannot connect these into a system like that unless you do a lot of soldering and custom fabrication on them. This unit here gives me a lot more telemetry. By that I mean when I'm connecting it to Wisycom transmitters, I can see a lot more information on this screen about what the transmitter is doing. I can see signal strength. You can see signal strength on here. You can. But on the MCR54, you can see it. It's just a better detail. Okay? You can see the battery length, the battery health of the transmitter on the receiver. That is something you cannot see on Sennheiser. So I can see exactly where the battery is on my receiver. It tells me what the transmitter is doing, rather. So I can see exactly what the transmitter is doing for battery right here on the receiver. I can also assign 4 channels simultaneously on this. So when I'm using one of these, this only receives 1 channel. So if I'm going to do 4 channels of Sennheiser, I need 4 of these. 4 AA batteries, or 4 sets of AA batteries, so 8 AA batteries. I need to scan each one of these receivers individually. So I need to scan and select 4 times if I do 4 channels on this. If I do 4 channels on this, I scan once, and I set all the frequencies simultaneously on this unit. It is extremely helpful. Plus, this unit scans the frequencies a lot faster. We're talking a lot faster. I haven't tested it, but you hit scan on this and it just moves really quick. You hit scan on this, doesn't move so quick. Okay? And then the other reason why I choose this is because of the range. All right? This goes from 470 to 960. Now there are some gaps in there. It doesn't do every single frequency inside 470 to 960. This does 470 to 558. 470 to 558, 470 to 960. Do the math. This gives you a lot more flexibility. Okay? Now we're going to talk about transmitters. Talk a little bit about receivers. We're going to put those aside. Okay? Transmitters. As you can see, there's a difference in size, and it is considerable. Okay? I happen to think that this is considerably more flexible than this because we're talking a lot different in size. It's different in all the areas. So you can see here, it's thinner, it's shorter, okay? It's less wide. It's just considerably better sized, in my opinion, the MTP61, okay? The other difference between these, MTP61 is waterproof. Haven't tested it, don't want to test it, but it says it's waterproof, okay? This is highly water resistant. I have never had one of these short out, and I have had them near water. So, not bashing on the Sennheiser, but not stated to be waterproof. These are stated to be waterproof, okay? Powering options for these are different. In the MTP61, you have a removable lithium battery. I haven't tested this extensively, but it does give you long battery life. At least 6 to 8 hours in my usage. I haven't done a full test on that, but so removable lithium ion battery, okay? Again, this is the same as the receiver. This is AA's. okay? So I have tested these with AA rechargeables. They don't last as long with AA rechargeables. You get longer battery life when you're using alkalines on these, in my experience, okay? Also, you can see, just like the receiver on this unit, the antenna disconnects, okay? Again, for the same reason that the receiver antenna disconnects, they disconnect because for different ranges inside that 470 to 960, you need to use different length antennas, okay? Also, so you can replace. One of the issues I've had with these is that this antenna on these Sennheisers it's affixed, right? If that antenna goes bad, it's a problem. You can't just replace it. So these antennas, you know, easily replaceable. The next thing is, we're talking differences still. Different connectors. This is a LEMO 3-pin. This is a 1/8 inch jack, okay? So the microphone that you would use for the Sennheiser has to have that adapter on it. Has to have, we call it the Sennheiser adapter, but it's basically a locking screw version of an 1/8 inch, okay? So that goes in there and then twists in. Secure, it's not coming out. And then the MTP61s, you can get them in different types. The ones that I have are this LEMO connection. So I use my MTP61s with COS-11Ds by Senken. And that goes in similar. And you could say, to me, it feels a little more secure. So you pop that in, screw that down. To me, that feels a little more secure. It's still not going anywhere. So this one's not going anywhere either, but okay. So different adapters, all right. And then the other main difference here is similar to how I was characterizing the receivers. Like, these just have longer range by many factors. Again, haven't tested it, and I'm going to do one of those where I test it, but longer range, okay? A lot of people have said, and I think I agree, that this Sennheiser package is limited by the receiver. That's my opinion, and that's a popular opinion out there on the old internet, that the reason why this Sennheiser package doesn't perform as well as some of the higher end gear is the receiver first. Yes, the transmitter as well is not as good, but the receiver is the weak spot. It's the weak spot because it doesn't have diversity, and because it uses AA's, and it'll burn through these AA's pretty quick. Like half a day sometimes, and you're done. Okay, and then going back to receivers, or transmitters rather, going back to transmitters, the internals of these transmitters are very different in terms of what you can do inside the menu system. The menu system on this has just considerably more options. Okay, for example, you can do low cuts right on this transmitter, all the way up to, I think it's 240. So you can low cut right on the transmitter. Okay, you can program it to pick up different types of wiring patterns for microphones, if you're using different microphones that have different wiring patterns. This transmitter records. This transmitter does not record. Now, in the US, I just need to say that you cannot record and transmit on this at the same time. In Europe, you can. You can record and transmit on this unit at the same time. Soon, you will be able to record and transmit on this at the same time in the US once some patents expire and it becomes available. So that's another major feature difference between these two. This can't record, this can. So in the US, if I'm having trouble with wireless, I can just turn on the recording and get a recording. It does 32-bit float. This thing also does timecode sync from tentacles over Bluetooth. You just hold your tentacle up to it, picks up the timecode. A couple of the other things that are different is that you can remotely control this. Turn these both on. You can't remotely control this. All right, you put this on the talent and they go 50 feet away and they're 50 feet away. You can't control this remotely. There's no way to do it, okay? With this, you can control it remotely, okay? There is an app on your phone. So I'm connected to this device on my phone. It's not going to work from a long distance. I haven't tested how far away it works, but it does work where you don't have to physically go up to the person wearing the mic to make changes. To me, that's major, especially with a hidden mic pack, all right? I can see the battery life. On my app, I can see the battery life on my receiver. You can't do that with Sennheiser. You don't know until you get physically up to the pack to know what the battery's doing. You can't change the frequency remotely. You can't change the gain. On this app, I'm just going to read off what I can do. I can change the frequency. I can change the RF power. I can change the gain. I can trigger record, change the bit depth of the record. I can turn on RF, turn it off. I can mute the mic. I can format the SD card. I can turn on and off the limiter. I can turn on and off the high pass filter. I mean, there's a lot you can do on this app. You can't control every single aspect of the unit, but you can control a lot of the unit. And that also takes me to the next point with the MCR54. You can also control this with the app. It's a little bit less necessary because this is in your bag and you're near it, but you can control this with your app and this. And if you have multiples on, you can control all of them, okay? That is a major bonus to having these units in your kit. The remote controllability is incredible, okay? And then some of the last differences here, this just has a larger range of power adaptions, so you can change the transmission power like just a little bit in more steps, and it has higher transmission power at the maximum setting. Looking through the menu just to remember a few more things. It has, you can change the phase too, right on here. So you can change the phase. You can actually send a calibration tone out of this, which is helpful in case you just want to do a quick level test while maybe the talent's not there. You can just send the calibration tone wirelessly. That's really helpful. Overall, I'm just going to say that between the two, this is highly intelligent and smart, and this is more plain simple, and if I might say, it's dumb, right? Dumb not in a bad way, but just, it's very simple, right? The menu system is more simple. The remote controllability is not there. The remote telemetry that's between the two devices is not there. So why would you choose one over the other? Well, I still choose Sennheiser, okay? I still do. And I want to let you know a little bit about why I still choose it. I'm using my Sennheisers still when I need to be small and nimble with my gear. Because right now, this is really not small and nimble, okay? This has to be powered by a BDS, right? And it's awkward, and it's not, this is not intended to mount to the top of a mirrorless camera or a small rig. Like, it's just not, right? This is engineered to be in a bag, okay? So I'm gonna choose this every time when I'm bag mixing. But I still do choose these if I'm using my smaller mixer and I'm needing to be, you know, nimble and quick. I'll use these. And if I know that I'm not gonna need to have extended range, all right? So if I'm not gonna have extended range, these things are still very useful, okay? And I do use them, okay? The only last thing I didn't mention about these is on the bottom here, this is a plate. So you buy the unit and then you select which bottom plate you want. This bottom plate has TA5 outputs, So it goes, so that's a TA5, and it just goes into the bottom there. And then that breaks out to XLR. These also have the ability to go AES digital out, which I don't use on my mixer because my mixer doesn't have that. I just go analog, okay? But this gives you a split out. So you plug in, each one of these is a stereo plug, and you get 2 XLR outs from that, okay? So, and then I just mount it in the bag. The other reason I like this for bag is because it's all together. Having 4 of these hanging out in your bag is, I mean, that's a lot, right? It's 4 sets of batteries. It's 4 sets of settings. You have to open up each different one to look at it. It's all come together here for the Wisycom, okay? The way I got into Wisycom is because of compatibility between the 2 units. I first bought the MCR54 and I tuned my Sennheisers into it. That is a major bonus to this Wisycom setup, is that you can listen to a Sennheiser transmitter on the Wisycom receiver, okay? All you gotta do is change the companion mode to EVO, EVO. So in the EVO companion mode, you can listen to a $300 Sennheiser transmitter on this Wisycom receiver. That is how I got into using Wisycom, because I could not afford to drop the cash on all of this stuff all at once. So I bought the receiver and started using my Sennheisers. I immediately saw an improvement in my Sennheiser range. As soon as I started listening to them on the Wisycom, it became very clear to me that, as everyone says, this receiver is the weak point on the Sennheiser system, okay? Immediately, when I started using Sennheiser on Wisycom, my range went way up. Like, I was astounded that this Sennheiser transmitter would go as far as it would. I think I pulled as far as 200 feet. My experience with Sennheiser to Sennheiser is more like 50 feet, right? Sometimes 30 feet, okay? Sennheiser to Wizy, I think I conservatively pulled 200 feet, and I could hear the transmitter. So that's another major bonus to the Wizy. The Wizy can also listen to some of the older Electros, and it can listen to these, and you can also tune the Wisycom to listen to older Wisycom gear. So you don't have to necessarily get the brand new devices, but you can get older Wisycom transmitters, and you can tune them. You can tune this MCR54 to listen to them. So there's a lot of reasons to use the Wisycom system. If you're not in a bag situation, then a system similar to the Sennheiser would be probably better. If you're mounting these to cameras, like, this is a lot easier to deal with. If I might say, the Wisycom transmitter is like, or receiver is like impossible to mount to a camera. I mean, you could. I'm not saying you can't, but it's not meant for that. It's meant for a bag. So if you're mixing in a bag, highly recommend the Wisycom. Mixing sort of on a camera, this could be good. That's where I still use these, okay? So let me know in the comments if you have any more questions about any of this gear. Again, I didn't do an extensive menu dive, but this is intended to give you an overview of everything that would cause you to choose one or the other. As a sound guy, there's lots of ways to get things done, and there's lots of ways that everybody gets things done. So the competitors at the high end for Wisycom would be Electrosonics, and the sound devices A1 and Zaxcom. Competitors at this range would be Sony, Ceramonic, Deity. They're all in that same generalized price range. A package of these is around $800. Package of, I think the Ceramonics are around $1,000. The Deities are around $1,000. Sony is around $1,000. These are around $2,000 each. The MCR54 is around $3,500 for the 4-channel receiver. These COS-11s are around $400 each. They're similarly priced to the MKE 2s that I use, but so there is a price difference. And if you're gonna get into being a location sound operator, you need to figure out how to get some higher end wireless in your kit at some point, because you're gonna outgrow the limitations of something like this. I ran as a location sound operator for many years with this stuff, okay? Not bashing on it, okay? Just saying different and why you would choose certain things over the other, okay? So, thanks for watching. I really appreciate it. Again, I've been doing a lot of videos about my bag and about my gear. So look on the channel to try to find the full bag tour I did of this guy. I also have some other videos about the support gear that I use in my case. Got a lot of behind the scenes of all of this gear out in the wild, doing the thing, actually working for me. And again, that's the other thing, like, get the gear that works for you, right? Get the gear that's gonna get you jobs, that's gonna give you the confidence that you're gonna get the sound every time. We'll see you in the next one.